That appears to be a 5-0 challenge, so a slightly more relaxed start to the day, which is fine, I guess. I do feel a little bit more tired than I ideally would have liked before the start of the stream, but that's okay. I'm pretty sure you can see names. They are on the screen. They're just not where you're used to them. This line is supposed to be quite risky for black, but you kind of need to know why. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to go for this pawn sacrifice, and then once it gets accepted, which I assume it will be, the bishop heads towards the d6 square where it stands quite well. Can we time people out for 10 seconds if they ask to play here? I think that's a bit harsh, but I don't really mind, and it's really up to you guys. It's your channel. I'm not going to tell you how to manage your own channel. Bishop a4 is also playable, but I kind of like the bishop on c4. It does more on this diagonal. I'm assuming you're somewhat trolling J-Physics, but please consider my mental well-being when you say things like this, because I will get very spooked and will maybe, attempt to fix things which aren't broken, which can only result in more mayhem and confusion. I don't know if it's in anybody's interest to spook an already spooked old horse like that. What do you think about Timur and the candidate's tourney? It's a very unfortunate situation, which was preventable, but not that easily preventable, I guess. And well, my opponent's previous play actually now makes perfect sense with the move knight c8, which I somehow completely ignored. I didn't really realize the bishop on d6 can be challenged like this. And this is a problem because I cannot keep the bishop on this diagonal and then black castles short and stands quite well. I don't think I'm struggling necessarily just yet, but it's an unwelcome development for sure. And quite well played by my opponent. I realized too late what the entire plan of b5 bishop b7 was. Rook c1 is a very useful autopilot move here, but I'm wondering if rook e1 is actually more useful, because I would at some point probably like to play 5 knight e4, but putting the rook on the open file is, a little bit too logical here not to do. If you weren't trolling, then of course don't apologize. If you actually had sound issues, then yeah, by all means let us know, and somebody will either confirm or not, as the case may be. I thought it was sort of in line with people complaining about not being able to see the names, which are quite clearly on the screen right now. I was hoping to return to d6 here and then, some kind of activity in huge air quotes, but I don't quite understand what activity that is. e5 is also kind of suboptimal. I'll play bishop h4, bishop f6, though. I don't quite understand what that achieves. My position might be more unpleasant than I originally gave it credit for. I guess I'll play e5 just for something to do. What's my favorite opening? Lifetime, probably the Grunfeld, I would assume, but I still actually do really enjoy playing the Spanish. And I have very good results in the Spanish as well. Knight e4, either immediately or after bishop h4 is what I should be doing here. I'm just trying to figure out which order is better. I think starting with bishop h4 is quite strong here. Probably the only good move here is queen b8. I haven't actually settled on what I'm planning to do against it. There's bishop takes f7, which is not stupid, but I don't know if it works as well. And I could also go knight e4 and then knight f6. I get a decent amount of compensation that way, but that also doesn't quite work out for me. I'll go with this. It's at least fun. I think it's probably the most fun we can have in this position with white. Rook e6, knight e6, knight a5 maybe, but even then I have like queen h3 as a response. Knight c4 doesn't help, so I think it's probably rook e6, knight e6, and then d takes e6, but then we can take on e6 with the queen, and at the very least in the end of that variation we go rook takes e6. So far I have 106 open challenges, CDM, CNU. Favorite Tarkovsky film? I'm not much of a Tarkovsky buff, Bujavat. We can start with this even, and I don't think it makes a blind bit of difference. I mean, from the movies I've seen, it's probably Solaris, but I've seen it once when I was much younger, and I retain kind of vague memories of it. If you want to talk Tarkovsky, you should get Livon Aronian to do a Lichess stream once, and there you will get like a full blown dissertation on the topic of Tarkovsky. Levon really knows his stuff. It doesn't really matter, Gia, today because I've installed the web extension which allows me to accept random challenges today. So whatever pops up on my screen will be the next challenge I play. So it really doesn't matter. But like for my personal preference, I like the 3+1s, 3+2s, those types of challenges. But as you can see, I will play 5-minute challenges. I will play all kinds. I actually really don't mind chess variants, although some of them I just don't know the rules. So that will be kind of funny, but in a sad kind of way. Previous stream I did on Thursday, I played my first ever game of Atomic, and lost I think in 5 moves. So that wasn't very good. Favorite blues album? I've not listened to blues, whole albums worth in quite some time. And I don't know, like the old classics are excellent. When I was a very young teenager, I watched The Crossroads, and that made me absolutely obsessed with Robert Jordan for quite a longish while. And eventually, I tracked down and bought the full box of all 29 of Robert Johnson songs, and I think this still holds up. Honestly, his voice is like I like deeper male voices, honestly, but in terms of yeah, I mean, the music still stands up, and London Sessions by Howling Wolf are excellent. Many things are excellent. I used to listen a lot to John Mayall. I don't know if any of you here know who John Mayall is, but one of the biggest regrets of my entire life was in 1997 I played the World Teams in Lucerne. That was my first ever World Teams. And they gave me a day off, the Russian team. They gave me a day off. And I spent that day off just randomly walking the streets of Lucerne and not doing anything at all. And the next evening, while doing that once again, I randomly stumbled upon a poster of a John Mayall concert which was held in Lucerne on the previous night. So not only I was in the same city as John Mayall, I could have actually gone because it was my day off. That was incredibly upsetting. I am still very, very sad about that. Yeah, I did see Blues Brothers. I've not listened to Hugh Laurie. Sort of once again, I've listened to a few songs. I haven't listened to the whole album. That appears to be a somewhat unfortunate move because it gives me the entire rook. I don't know what prompted b6 here. I'm not gonna take on a8 actually. I'll take on d7 just to have a kind of a safer conversion here. Obviously, taking the rook and then playing something like f3 or knight f3 was also completely fine, but doing this actually leaves black with a full piece down and also no counterplay. I think the answer is actually no, forget about it. And I actually tried doing something about it and it didn't work. I made a conscious effort to reduce the bit rate and it didn't take. It's very difficult to tell you stories about Kasparov without something prompting them. Uh, it's a bit like somebody coming up to you and saying, well, please tell me a joke.